I don't know if you remember the first session that we had. So I posted some things on WhatsApp. Some content, yeah. It's of the 8 limbs of yoga. So I was telling Wes the other day that it actually dawned on me during the when I do this meditation that yes, we are taught yoga and why, and some people think of yoga as breathing, and some people think of yoga as asanas. You ask me asanas, postures, and then we want to put ourselves into a pretzel, and some people see it as an achievement, and then it becomes competitive, and that's not the intention of all of this. I think it's over the years when it got to the West, it just became something different because of the nature of Western society.
It's like sushi.
Like sushi.
It's a teeny tiny little morsel of food, and now it's almost like a whole handful.
Yeah, exactly. And then you can have like a whole platter of it. Like,
and now there's chicken mayo sushi.
You know what the worst sushi is? No, so we're digressing now. Yeah. The worst sushi, in my opinion, and I don't even know if they do this in Japan, is sushi with cream cheese in it.
Yes, offensive.
It is. It's like, I don't know. It just doesn't work. Cream cheese and salmon sushi. Now, cream cheese and salmon is nice together, but don't pair it with rice. It doesn't. It just doesn't go together.
Bastardization.
Yeah. So it's the same as sushi. Sushi. That's a good example because sushi was. We never had sushi. Did you have sushi when you grew up?
And sushi is a delicacy.
Well, in Japan, and you only eat small portions of it. You don't have like a big platter of it. Or you can eat sushi, a whole big platter of it. Or yes, they do have places where they have conveyor belts, but yeah, it's we've taken something that was pure, and then we turn it into this whole, because it's capitalistic, so it becomes a profit-making machine.
Right.
And yoga that's practiced today is nothing more than, I like what one person says, you know what, you can do yoga in its purest form, or you can do yoga that's like gymnastics, because then it becomes gymnastics, because you're losing the essence of it. So I think I was talking to someone the other day. Remember when I told you I go for my own treatment, even though I do treatments, I also have to get my own treatment. I have to take care of myself. And we actually ended up, the session I booked for was 2 hours, 3 hours, 20 minutes later, because we couldn't stop talking. So we were talking about joining the mind and the body. And that's what yoga is. Yoga is, the definition of yoga is to join, or is union with the mind and the body. So now we think about, what is the mind? What is actually the mind? If I had to ask you a question, where is the mind? Where would you say the mind is?
It's your soul.
So, but where in your body? Where would you locate it in your body?
Well, you always gravitate towards thinking it's in your head.
It's in you think it's in your head.
Because your brain.
But is it truly in your head?
No.
That's what your mind tells you. Okay, because the brain, it's like, yeah, I'm up here.
And I'm thinking.
And I'm thinking. That's what the mind is. But I think the mind is a bit more than that. But because of the way that we've evolved in societies, the mind, we've changed as human beings. I think some animals still retain the purity of it, of existence, of consciousness.
I was just going to say that the mind is like, from what we've been taught your mind is, and when you actually process it, you realize that it's more of consciousness, really, that it is you thinking about doing things. It becomes about the way that you exist in the world, and which decisions you make that relate to values that exist within your whole body. Not thinking, like naturally you wouldn't go and tramp on a snail. You know what I mean? There's a value there of life and saying like, let me sidestep. But that's not something that maybe happens here. It's like you look at your foot and you just move your foot. There's certain things that start to happen automatically.
So the mind essentially is what our entire existence in reality is all focused on what the mind tells us it should be. And the mind dictates everything. I think I was talking to someone last night because I went for meditation and I just realized that we've allowed our minds to control us instead of us actually, making peace with the mind and not allowing the mind to be dominant. So I'll use a simple example. I was sitting in meditation and I was feeling an itch, like an itch around my neck. And I was okay, should I scratch it? But I don't want to move. Is it possible to not scratch it and just to observe the itch and then see what happens? I don't react to the itch. So I just sat there, and I sat there, and I sat there, and the itch got stronger and stronger to a point where I felt like it was a slight burning, but it's your mind telling you, you need to scratch that. And then, would you believe it, after a few minutes, the itch disappeared. So, you actually can tell your mind to stop doing it. But now we're getting a bit deeper. So in terms of yoga, what I want us to explore is that I don't want us to do the way that I want you to experience yoga is not mechanical yoga, which is just asana. It must be its movement is important, but also doing mind work as well. So it's mind and body work, joining the mind with the body. So over the years of me doing yoga, I've become so sensitive to many things. So, like for example, even with the flow, it's done mindfully. Recently, I've started doing something called mindful eating. So not just gobble, 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 gobble. So, but before you eat, looking at the food and determine first of all whether the food is good or bad for you. And second of all, be appreciative of what actually went into making that food and how the food arrived on your plate. Because we're doing it so mindlessly, there's just food on our plate and we eat it and it becomes mechanical and that's the end of it. There's food, then there's also sensation as well. So there's an addiction as well, a subtle addiction to food because of what the mind wants. So now if you practice mindfulness in eating, that by itself can be meditation, because now you're actually taking each bite and you're savoring the taste, and the mind is like, what are you doing? This is supposed to be just pleasure. Why are you taking the pleasure away from it? Now there's a conflict that's created. So in the 8 limbs of yoga, it dawned on me actually recently, and somebody can tell you this, but you will just hear it and you say, okay, you're saying that, but you don't actually internalize what the person is actually saying to you or trying to explain to you. You have to experience it yourself. So what I'm explaining to you may not dawn on you now, but in the future it may. One moment it will just click, okay, now I understand it. So remember one day we were walking in Kolpe. We're talking, and then just like that, I just had a realization. I don't even remember one. We went walking on
The
mountain, yeah. We went the pass, Boys Drive. But these things just comes, and then you just have a realization. And then sometimes it stays with you, sometimes it just goes. And one wonders where this comes from. Does the mind create these things, or does it come? Is the mind some sort of receiver? That's a conversation for another day. So the 8 limbs of yoga is a system that was created to join the body and the mind. When it was first explained to me, the 8 limbs of yoga, Patanjali's 8 limbs of yoga, or the 8 limbs, it's also called Ashtanga. So I'm sure you've heard of Ashtanga yoga. So Ashtanga yoga only has specific movements. and it's quite intense. Have you ever seen an Ashtanga class? It's very intense. So you like move, and it's like, yeah, it's quite, and it's very disciplined. So, and it's very repetitive. It's the same things over and over and over and over.
Is it the same asanas?
It's more or less the same asanas, yeah. So, but Ashtanga is the 8 limbs. That's what it is. So, like for example, what is that one pose? If you can remember that one pose where you're lying flat on your stomach and then your hips are up, raised up.
Yeah.
Do you remember? It's in one of the sun salutations. So you're lying, but your hips are actually raised up, and you actually are just laying flat. So your chest is on the floor, the front of your thighs on the floor, but your hips are actually raised up off the mat slightly. That's Ashtanga Namaskar. So you actually that's 8 limbs pose. That's what it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So the 8 limbs of yoga is a system, and when I first learned about it, I thought there's no possible way that I can actually fully live this. Not a chance. I mean, how do you live your life the way that we live, the way that society is structured, and living your life according to this? But over time, you can actually adapt your life, and it can happen organically over time. So let me just go quickly through the 8 limbs again, because we did it in the beginning, but I just thought it would be useful just to revisit the 8 limbs. So yamas and niyamas. Oh, that's fine. Yamas and niyamas. So the yamas is ethical foundation. So I just wanted to think. I'm just going to spend a bit of time on it. So ethical foundation, and that is focusing on social restraints, like for example, non-violence and truthfulness. So not lying, trying to be truthful. And it's all about, it's actually you essentially living your life to the best of your ability, not according to what others tell you, but you being true to yourself. And not just by your own actions or by showing someone that you're doing it, you're actually internalizing, trying to be the best that you can be for yourself. And by doing that, you actually are the best for others. So that's the first one. Then you have the niyamas, which is internal discipline. So for example, purity and contentment. And so that's the one is more external action, the other one is more internal. Then
in Islam, there's niyat, which is intention.
Yeah.
So similar.
I don't know much about that, so maybe I can look into that. But I'm only speaking because this is more from an Indian philosophical perspective, and some of the elements are aligned to Hinduism, and some of it are Buddhism. So, and then asceticism as well. So there's
I find there's a lot of correlation between religious constructs. You know, they find it's the same practices because it all evolves from human behavior.
Yes.
And then like sort of solidifies into a philosophy and into a system.
Like for example, you have Nirvana and Dharma in Hinduism, but you also have it in Buddhism. So it's the words, but it's conceptualized differently. Then you have what we do is asana. So I just want to pause on 3 and 4. So asana and pranayama. So asana is the poses. Asana is the poses that we do. So when we do the poses, in the beginning, it will seem more like, oh, it's a lot of work, and you know, why am I doing this? And I'm shaking and I'm sweating, and then it dawned on me the other day. And yes, I can do it a lot easier because I'm doing over repeatedly over the years. But it dawned on me that there was actually a reason why asana was created. Asana was, in my opinion, asana was created to help your body with the last limb of yoga, which is meditation. Because So it's the stage of concentration, meditation, eventually a state of oneness or enlightenment. So, and the reason why I came to that conclusion is because you joined me at meditation. The first time I did meditation was, and I've done meditation over the years, but not quite what I'm doing today. So you sit, at the meditation center, you can sit on a chair, you can sit on a cushion, you can, some of them actually have little mini batteries so you can lean against the back. But I thought, let me just do it. The first one I went, I thought, let me just go all out. No backrest, no chair, just with me and a cushion, and that's the end of it. Wow, that was tough. It was tough because within the first 20 minutes, you start to feel like, oh my gosh, my back. It's like, I feel it here at my back, and then this feels a bit, because you're applying pressure here, and you feel this, oh no, okay, I need to move. But you're supposed to sit in stillness. You can't move around like a lot. But I did move around, like, okay, I can't sit like this. How is it possible that they sit like that? Oh my gosh, because I can feel it here. How do you sit like that? And then it dawned on me after doing meditation for a few times. That's why asanas was created, to keep the body mobile, to actually apply release and on specific parts of the body, the joints, the fascia. So it's not the muscular system, but it's the joints, the nervous system, to actually help it to deal with long periods of meditation. That's why asana was important. And then it became something different, but I'm not going to go there. Pranayama is important because pranayama is the breathing. Prana is life force. And it's the breathing control. And what does breathing do? If we breathe, so it calms us down. It actually does. It has an impact on our nervous system. So that's why the breathing is very, very important. One style of yoga is actually focused on breathing. Have you ever tried to do that? By sitting still and just trying to focus on your breathing? It is so difficult. Because then you self-focus on your breathing and then your mind goes, thinks about this. And then, it does help. And then like, oh, I forgot, I must focus on my breathing. Then you bring yourself back and you focus on your breathing.
I did the box breathing. And it helped. Because I think I could be quiet for maybe 25, 30 minutes. And then I was like, my mind was drifting off to to-do lists and so on. And I'm like, okay, what if I focus on box breathing?
Yes.
And it helped.
It does. It does.
Because also not only your legs being like this, but that position of your like thumb touching your index finger and having it be placed here, like to sit like this the whole time and not move. Because you want to change your hands, but the way the Buddha sits also is like that.
Yes.
And that's what Paniya said we should try and do.
Yes.
And you're like,
how do you do that?
How do you do this for hours on end? Because we had 1 hour and then we clock out, But for them, when they showed like the meditation, everybody meditating, it's not 1 hour. They're sitting there for a couple of hours.
Oh, yeah.
Sitting together and they're holding those poses and they're breathing and they're visualizing.
So like those, but I mean, they've been doing some of them for many years.
Yeah.
So there's also that whole mind aspect of it. So if you feel a bit of pain, you focus on the pain, but you don't react to the pain. And there's also a bit of a life lesson to that. You experience things in your life, you focus, something happens, and then the natural thing to do is to react to it. Emotionally, physically, there's a reaction to it. But if you just observe it, okay, and then that is actually the past. It's actually, once it's happened, it's actually, the past that's in the past already, it's happened. Then we start holding on to it, and all of us love to hold on to the past, and we don't want to let it go. And that's why for many years I didn't understand what observing it meant. So you're not reacting to it, but you're not dwelling on it. You're just watching it. And then at some point in time, it starts to dissolve. Like that itch that I explained, it just dissolves, it goes away. And then, yes, it may arise sometime in the future, but yeah, it's
It's interesting that you said that. I think about myself as being a very reactionary person.
yes,
And it can take me a long time to get answers.
yes,
And I will ruminate on it, and ruminate on it, and ruminate on it. And I'll look again, and it's 3 weeks later. And yet, as soon as I focus myself on something else, take my focus away from it, and I just move on. In another 3 weeks' time, I might be reminded of that. And, okay, but why was I so mad about that? Why?
But you see, that's the thing. It's like we hold on to the past, and it's so easy for people to say you must live in the present, but those are just words. How many people truly actually live in the present? Like the moment that we have, it's actually very difficult because we naturally either live in the past, or we focus on the future, or we do both interchangeably, but we never ever live in the present.
And I think that's the thing about anxiety and depression as well. When you focus too much on the future, it makes you anxious.
Correct.
When you focus too much on the past, it makes you depressed.
Yes.
Because you can't go back and change any of those things, but you keep going back to them, and then it's okay. So what's gonna happen tomorrow? What's gonna happen next week? What's gonna happen next month? I see a man on the side of the road. He's busy begging. I'm thinking I could be there one of these days. It's all of those anxious thoughts that you have, and if you just focus on the present, on exactly what is happening right now, this minute, then you don't have anything to be anxious about.
Right. You don't actually have to be anxious about, because we don't, and also this is control. We want to control it so that we don't have to experience the horrible aspects of life. But there's so many things we can't control. So there's also number 5 is pratyahara, which is the withdrawal of the senses to move focus inward. So, and that's so you sitting in meditation and you're just focusing inward. But our mind is so noisy. All of our minds are noisy because we have this external stimuli, and that external stimuli lives in our heads, and then also our mind creates things as well because of that stimuli, which actually begs the question: does the mind actually create things by itself? I don't think so. I think things come in, and the mind uses that to create things. So that's why there's a concept of transmission in Buddhism. So transmission means you actually are transmitting something. The mind is like some sort of antenna, and it takes it and it does whatever it wants to with it. But in Western philosophy, the mind creates, but I don't believe the mind. I've actually come to believe the mind doesn't create things from nothing. The mind actually just takes in whatever comes in through the senses and does whatever it does with that information, and it processes and does whatever it does in your body. It has an impact on your body. There's certain things in your body that happens that you don't have a control over. There's certain things that are just automatic. You meet someone and they have a cold. There's contact, and then you start to you get infected, but you don't know that you're getting infected. So your brain actually starts to react to that without you even realizing. There's that automatic process that happens in your body. Your immune system starts to activate and does all these things and blah blah.
Because you're actually stressing yourself out, like without realizing that you're stressing yourself out, which lowers your immunity immediately.
Exactly. Now your mind is like, oh, I'm so sick and I want to, and then, oh, why did this happen to me? And
But yeah, you increase your
cortisol.
Yeah, your cortisol level.
And your adrenaline.
And then
yes.
histamine levels in your body, and all of that inflammation starts to happen. But I laugh because if somebody coughs in the, like, near me, I don't even know this. I know the speed at which droplets travel. So if somebody coughs, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, let me just blow everything away from me, and then like try and turn the direction.
You know what? Well, you know about me and Zinkies. I immediately grab a Zinky.
I gave my dad a Zinky yesterday, but it's gonna make my mouth dry. I said,
But that's exactly what it does
supposed
to
to
do. It actually coats him up. So then we have Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi, which is the final stages. So it's concentration, meditation, and eventually a state of oneness. Now, it's not step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. It's more of, there's different opinions of it. It's more, some person liken it to an onion. So you're just breaking down into the core. You're peeling away the layers and you get into the core. But it's not a step process. So I would like you to maybe just take some part of this as we do the practice, because today we're going to spend time doing the flow, the heat building exercises, and then we're going to do the yin session. Okay, so shall we start?
Yes.
Perfect.